This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some big update to share with you. President Biden calls on states to use stimulus money to fund the police, and the Biden administration is relaunching child tax credit efforts. Also, in terms of stimulus, Americans in 43 states are eligible for more money. We'll talk about the $5,500 stimulus check. Also, Bernie Sanders is calling on Medicare for all, and Lindsey Graham cuts in and gives his counter argument to that. Also, I'll let you know what the Biden administration is doing about the baby formula shortage and give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So this article right here about the baby formula shortage, I don't know how my son will survive inside the dangerous shortage of specialty formulas. So this is a really sad crisis what's going on right now. If you're not familiar, baby formula, which is what babies need to survive if they're not being breastfed, is on short supply, not available in certain states, which is really sad. So for anyone who has kids, even if you don't have kids, it's a really heartbreaking story. And what is being done about this? So take a look at what the White House plans to do to tackle the baby formula shortage.
President Biden and lawmakers there in Washington are rushing to address the shortage of baby formula across the country that's getting worse by the day. The months-long shortage being attributed in part to a voluntary recall by the manufacturer Abbott Nutrition, which prompted the shutdown of a major plant. Supply chain issues, labor shortages also contributing to the problem. Abbott now looking to restart operations, but it could take up to 10 weeks, we're told, to get formula from the affected facility back onto store shelves, and parents don't have that kind of time. Overnight, the Biden administration announced new steps to tackle the crisis, and for that, we bring in Director of the White House National Economic Council, Brian Deese. Brian, thanks for taking some time this morning. We appreciate it. We were talking to Congresswoman Spanberger, who was introducing legislation and talking about how these companies operate and how that needs to change. That's all well and good, but as I said, this is a right now, today problem for parents in this country. How do you get baby formula onto shelves quickly?
Well, absolutely. It's a serious issue, and there are a set of steps that we need to take right now. First, we need to make it as easy as possible for retailers to sell the formula that they have and for consumers to buy it. About half of the formula in the United States goes through what's known as the WIC program, that in normal times has pretty strict regulations. Right now, we need to relax those regulations. Every state in the country needs to move on that right away. The second is we need to ramp up production of a formula. As you mentioned, Abbott had to recall and stop, but the president was on the phone with the other major manufacturers of baby formula yesterday. Good news there. They're increasing production 30 to 50%. We need to ramp that up and also look at where we could safely import more baby formula as well. And the third thing is we need to make sure that nobody is taking advantage of the situation. We've seen some reports of people hoarding, buying, and then posting online for exorbitant prices. We need to make sure that there's none of that is happening. The authorities, state attorneys general, as well as the FTC are on that case.
So, Brian, these are all, they sound like good solutions. They'll take some time. What do you say to the mother or the father sitting at home right now and said, I've been to Walmart, I've been to CVS, I've been to every store I can think of, and I cannot find food for my baby? What's their move here?
Look, we understand how challenging this is. I'm a parent. All of us have experience with just how life and death needing to have nutrition for your child is. Right now, first and foremost, if you've got a particular challenge, you should reach out to your pediatrician, your healthcare provider. There are emergency tools, emergency issues in place, including working with Abbott, the manufacturer that you discussed, for particular specialty formulas or otherwise. And also know that the president was on the phone with major retailers yesterday, on the phone with manufacturers. We are sparing no effort and no tool in our toolbox to try to accelerate this and ramp this up. And I think that we will see some serious production increases and some relief on those shelves as a result of these actions.
Brian, what can the President of the United States do to make sure that this never happens again?
Well, beyond these immediate steps, there are some really important things that we need to look at. The structure of this market, with 3 manufacturers controlling 90% of the market, in some instances with specialty formulas, an individual company having that much control. We need to look hard at the competition issues in this market and make sure that we have more resilient supply chains. And also, at the end of the day, we have to have a very high standard for safety when it comes to something as vital as baby formula. We cannot relax our safety protocols. So we need more resilience. We need more production capacity in more places so that our economy is not completely reliant on an individual facility or an individual company.
What are your thoughts on that? Will it be solved? Will we have baby formula back in supply again? Let me know your thoughts on all of that. So stimulus checks for low-income families. Biden administration relaunches child tax credit efforts. So slightly misleading here. Basically, according to CNN, the Biden administration has resumed efforts on the child tax credit, beginning outreach to low-income families eligible for more money. The administration's directing parents to online portal, which is childtaxcredit.gov and getctc.org. Both have information on the online portal, which was relaunched on Wednesday. If you had the child tax credit before and you're missing any checks, you could still claim it, which is part of that outreach program. What's not part of the outreach program is that they're going to start up the $250 to $300 per month per kid program. That's not going on right now. And so for the $3,000 or $3,600 per year child tax credit program, that hasn't been restarted. The only way that could happen again is if it passes through Congress. The Democrats did put that part of the bill back better, but they did not have it as a standalone bill to help out families. So in terms of this relaunching efforts, it's mainly to help people claim their money that they haven't gotten yet. There's not going to be any monthly checks anytime soon. Just want to give you the truth on that. And then also, stimulus check update: Americans in 43 states eligible for more money. So what's going on here is, while it remains unclear whether Americans could see a fourth round of stimulus checks from the federal government, homeowners throughout the U.S. could be eligible for an additional financial aid under the Homeowner Assistance Fund, also known as HAF. So basically, to prevent mortgage delinquencies and default, foreclosures, loss of utilities or home energy services, and displacement of homeowners experiencing financial hardship after January 21st, 2020, basically, homeowners can use HAF funds to help pay for mortgage payments, homeowners insurance, utility payments, and other purposes. So basically, if you live in the 43 states that HAF is functioning and you own a home, you could take advantage of these funds and use it to all the things I just said: mortgage payments, homeowners insurance, and utility payments, just for homeowners. So that's available. And then President Biden says, spend this money. Biden calls on states to devote stimulus funds to police. So ahead of the midterm elections, President Biden is making a forceful push to show he is a defender of law enforcement. Basically, on Friday, yesterday, he gave an announcement flanked by police chiefs across, from the United States, saying that governments praised that state and local governments committing to use at least $10 billion in federal stimulus money to bolster police departments. He said this: "My message is clear: spend this money and do it quickly before the summer when crime rates typically surge." So basically here, President Biden is saying use the stimulus money that a lot of the local governments have and use it to fund the police. That's what he's saying there. And then in terms of the $5,500 stimulus check, direct payments, who could see up to $5,500? This is going on in Alaska. Basically, they have a permanent dividend fund, or proposed $4,200 is a UBI payment in the state, which they've had for many years. It was created in 1980. So they have that, plus additional money, plus an additional $1,300, which is kind of like another stimulus check to help out people in Alaska. So that's just for people in Alaska. And then Bernie Sanders calls for tearing down dysfunctional healthcare system as he revives his Medicare for All Plan Act, despite Senate failing to act on Biden's key social programs. So Bernie Sanders calling on Medicare for All. There was a Senate hearing about this, talking about the reasons why it should happen. Let me know your thoughts on this. Is Medicare for All a good idea, bad idea? Take a look at what Bernie Sanders has to say.
And the tens of thousands of doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals who support this legislation. Let me thank the 15 Senate co-sponsors that we have on this bill and the 122 members of the House who support very similar legislation. And mostly, let me thank the American people who by the millions understand, as I do, that our current healthcare system is dysfunctional, it is extraordinarily wasteful and expensive, and it is cruel. The American people understand, as I do, that healthcare is a human right and not a privilege, and that we must end the international embarrassment of our great country being the only major nation on earth that does not guarantee health care as a human right to all of its people. It is not acceptable to me, nor to the American people, that over 70 million Americans today are either uninsured or underinsured. As we speak, right now, this moment, there are millions of people in our country who would like to go to a doctor, who have to go to the doctor, but simply cannot afford to do so. This is unacceptable. This is un-American. And this cannot be allowed to happen in the wealthiest country on earth. Bottom line is that your health and your longevity, how long you live, should not be a factor of how much money you have. Healthcare is a human right that all Americans, regardless of income, are entitled to, and all Americans deserve the best healthcare that our country can provide. As chairman of the Budget Committee, it is not acceptable to me that we end up spending over twice as much per capita on health care as other major countries around the world. Something we don't see too much on TV, you don't read in the newspapers, you don't hear it discussed here. My friends are concerned about the budget deficit, concerned about how much money we spend. Well, somebody should talk about why it is that we are spending almost twice as much per capita on health care as do the people of any other major country on earth, while at the same time, despite all of that expenditure, our life expectancy, how long we live, is less than most other major countries, and our health care outcomes in a number of areas lags behind other countries. Unbelievably, and I want the American people to hear this. You know, we talk about budget deficits or anything else here. Unbelievable, according to the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, we are now spending $12,530 per capita on health care. You got that? $12,530 for every man, woman, and child in this country. This is an outrageous and unsustainable sum of money. And here is the important point. In comparison, let's take a look at what other countries are spending for healthcare, which is as good or maybe better. United Kingdom spends $5,200. Remember, we spend over $12,000. Canada spends $5,300. France spends $5,500 per person. Germany spends $6,700. All of those countries provide universal health care, i.e. for all of their people. The key question that we should be discussing as a Congress is how does it happen that we spend so much money for health care but get so little in return? Frankly, I am tired of talking to doctors, and we'll have some here today, who tell me about the patients who have died because they were uninsured or underinsured and walked into their offices too late for untreatable conditions. And let us remember, again, not widely discussed, But we are losing, according to the best studies, over 60,000 Americans every year who die unnecessarily because they're uninsured or underinsured. I'm tired of seeing working class families and small businesses pay far more for health care than they can afford, which forces more than 500,000 Americans to declare bankruptcy each year because of medically related expenses. In America, families should not be driven into financial ruin because somebody became seriously ill in that family. Can you imagine that? Some kid comes down with leukemia and a family goes bankrupt? Does that make any sense to anybody?
What are your thoughts on that? Medicare for everybody, meaning everybody gets free health care. Is this a good idea, bad idea? I'm really curious about your thoughts. Well, that is one perspective there. Lindsey Graham, not too happy about this. He's a Republican senator. Lindsey Graham says most Democrats would jump out of a window if they had to vote on Medicare for all. Take a look at what Lindsey Graham said directly after Bernie Sanders. Take a look at this.
With that, let me thank Senator Graham for being here and give the mic over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an important debate, important hearing, important topic. So it has tremendous budget impact, and I think it's something the nation needs to be talking about. But how does something become a law? You vote on it. So here's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see a vote on your proposal in this committee this year. I welcome a vote on Medicare for all in this committee this year. You have control of the Senate floor. I welcome a vote on Medicare for all on the floor of the United States Senate this year. You tell your side of the story, we'll tell ours, but if you really want this to become law, you need to start voting. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm hoping that after this speech that you will be putting your idea up for a vote. And if not, why not? Because most of your colleagues would jump out the window if they had to vote on this. After this discussion by Senator Sanders, you're wondering why we need a wall at all. The state of health care described by Senator Sanders, it certainly can be made better and needs to be reformed, absolutely. Can we spend less and get better outcomes? Absolutely. But to believe what was being said, why are so many people coming to America? Why aren't we leaving to go to someplace else where you don't die in the streets? So the facts you're describing and the activity of the American people really don't match up. If it were, as you said, one of the most disgusting examples of healthcare being provided on the planet, people would be leaving America, not coming to America. Under your proposal, every doctor and nurse, in case you're watching this, you would become a federal government employee because the only game in town would be Medicare. You'd be working for the federal government because the single provider for healthcare in this country would be Medicare, which is a government-run program. The private healthcare that you have today as an American would go away. Once you get to be 65, Medicare takes over, but below 65, people are insured in the private sector for the most part. That option goes away for you. Everybody in the healthcare system becomes a federal government employee. Everybody in America goes into a single payer system run by the federal government.
After hearing both sides of the story, what are you for? Medicare for all, or you like the current healthcare system, or you don't, either one of those two, you just think the healthcare systems should change somehow? Let me know your thoughts on all of that. And that is all the news that I have for you today. To hopefully cheer you up a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella's tip of the day. I want to tell you that you could be anything that you want in the world. You could be, for example, you could be a veterinarian, take care of dogs, help dogs, or you could be a nurse. And you could help people, or you could be a doctor, or you could be like anything, as you want. You are your own self. You could be whatever you want when you get older. If you're older. Bye, that was Bella's tip of the day.
Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your time and support. Gonna have a great weekend. My wife is working another 24-hour shift today, so it's just me and the girls. Probably do some fun stuff, go to the playgrounds, maybe a little beach time if the weather is nice enough. Hopefully you have a great day and weekend as well. And if you want to check out any of my other videos, my other channels, you could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.